players over the last few months, and spring ball right around the corner. So your initial thoughts about this signing class?
Thanks, Dabes. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's, signing day, the first Wednesday in February used to be such a big day in college football, and now it's kind of not even a thing anymore. Most of the high school guys signed December 1st. Almost everybody's still playing. Then we get into a transfer recruiting window, and then we get out, and the new rules are we can be meeting with juniors now in schools in January. So we're out meeting with juniors and their parents, and then today, maybe add a guy or two, and that's pretty much the way it is around the country. So I thought our coaches worked really hard, did a nice job, led by Justin, and Keaton did a great job. That we worked really hard. Had 26 seniors or whatever it was going out the door, so there's a lot of new faces. We really worked hard on the evaluation process over Christmas, and that can get a little frustrating because you can be a week into a guy. It's like speed dating a little bit, and you can have a guy committed, and then all of a sudden 2 days later he's going to Ole Miss or something, which happened to us. So it can be a little frustrating. You have to have some persistence and have a mindset that you're going to keep going until you get the guys you need, and I thought our staff did a really good job with that. They worked really hard at it. So I like every coach in America today, or December 1st or whenever. I like the guys we got in recruiting, but that's always the case. Everybody's pretty high on it. If they didn't like the guys they took, they'd have taken somebody else. So I like the guys we signed, and they're good dudes. They fit in well. I thought our players worked really hard hosting these guys when they were in town, and that's the best selling point is the players and the culture in the locker room. And I think that's probably what to a man these guys on this list were attracted to, was the players and the culture we have in our locker room. So you got anything to add, or you want to just take questions? All right, fire away.
Questions it is. Anybody else? First up.
Just in terms of navigating the portal, how did it compare to last year? How many guys were in there, and how deep into it, how many guys were you looking at throughout the process?
I don't know. That's a plan that's put together, but it's pretty variable. It's pretty much the same. Whoever's got the most money gets the best players for the most part. You get anything on that?
There's no real difference. The number is high as far as who goes in it. The number will be high on who never comes out of it. And that's the risk that players take as far as getting in there. So for us, a lot of guys, for various reasons, get crossed off the list. So our pool becomes pretty small, even though there's a high number of guys in there. So I think we take a hard look at guys and vet them. They get vetted a lot harder than the freshmen, more for the fact that most of these freshmen we recruit for a year. These guys we've recruited for 4 days, so they get a harder vetting process. But to get down to the names that we currently have on the team, definitely we went through a lot to get there.
This year your guys' season ended just like a day or two before the portal opened. So how beneficial was that for you guys to have that extra time to be looking through the portal right when it opened and everyone started going in?
Well, you get, a year ago we were playing during that period, except around Christmas. We gave the players a week off, so we were able to work on recruiting during that period. So it didn't change very much. There's only 24 hours in a day, so we probably got a little more sleep this year.
And then just in terms of roster size, what number are you guys at, and how did you go about just signing players, knowing whether you guys are operating by the current rules or if Montana opts into that house settlement and you guys have the
Well,
new
yeah,
roster limit?
the rules seem to change every week. We're going to operate at August being at 105, which is 10 less than we've had the last few years, right?
5.
5 less.
Bobby, when you look at obviously the positions you guys recruited, defensive back, and then both lines were the highest number of players. Like, what about those positions did you feel you needed to fill the most, and why did you guys kind of hit those positions so hard?
Well, we're trying to, when we're recruiting freshmen, which we'll always do, we'll try to, just kind of cover the board. Decided not to go on a quarterback, but other than that, we just kind of covered the board as best we could. In terms of the transfer piece, we had a lot of seniors go out the door, and you can't replace seniors with freshmen. So, and it's really hard in this day and age. In fact, it's not really hard. It's impossible in this day and age to work a year or two ahead. It's just impossible the way things are. So you can't really plan much beyond August to August. And so that's how that all shaped up.
When you get a guy like Michael Wortham Jr. and someone you're familiar with and competed against, and obviously he can do a lot, just how exciting is that to bring him in the door, and just what do you kind of envision from him seeing what he did at Eastern?
Yeah, Mike was a handful, and these guys make their decisions on what they're going to do with their future, and when he decided he was going to transfer, then we were one of the ones with their hat in the ring, and I'm glad he chose to come here.
Justin, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, Hunter Peck. A lot of guys usually drop down to the NAIA here in Montana, or a lot of local kids go to the Frontier Conference, but bringing a guy up. It's been a while since that's happened here. Just getting a guy like him in here, and is that maybe a trend you could foresee of you guys? There's so much movement. Looking at NAIA players and some of those standouts, maybe jumping up to the FCS.
Well, again, as far as the transfer portal, it doesn't matter what division you are. We're looking for a specific type of person. So, I mean, in AIA Division II, good football players are what we're looking for, and guys that fit what we do. So, some guys don't. I mean, if there's a high number of guys that are in the portal, I would say is that level for sure. So, again, we have to find guys that fit no matter what level they're at.
What about him stood out? Does it just feel like a good fit, pretty much?
Have you seen him? Watch his film. Again, we're looking for good football players. He's definitely that.
Then last one for me, just Finn Ridgway, obviously a local guy transferring back after some D2 ball. Just did you guys have a relationship with him prior? And obviously he played running back over in Minnesota, but just did you know him coming out of high school at Whitefish and then bringing him in the door?
Yes, I'd say for him, really, it's opportunity. When you come out of high school, initially he was a quarterback, and for him, the transition happened kind of early for him. So I think the opportunity presented itself for him to be able to come back, and I think he's always wanted to be a Grizz, and we have that opportunity for him.
In terms of, he was in our camps and all that. He was a good player. We just didn't really have room. That's it. We've got, Frank brought it up a minute ago. We've got numbers that we're accountable to, and it was great. He got to go play, and I think you get better at football by playing it. He got to go play some, so I'm excited to see him this spring.
Justin or Coach.
It's all you.
With the junior college or community college rules of extra eligibility, how much does that
Maybe I
impact
should
things
handle
moving
that
forward?
one.
I got to answer to it.
Yeah, I'll handle this one. Go ahead, Sean.
I guess I don't know. It's hard for us to understand all the rules because they do change. But with the community college, junior college, maybe getting extra.
Yeah, well,
years.
there's been no rule change. That's one guy, the quarterback from Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Now, there's a lot of people operating like that's going to be permanent for all junior college players. So where does that lead? I mean, I I was in some meetings in early January. I said, so what are you going to make every JC guy sue you to become eligible? So I would assume that's what it's going to be moving forward, but that's not been done yet. And then is it just people that are in that 1 year, or is that what it is moving forward? Who knows where this is all going? There'll be more adjustment to some of the eligibility rules as soon as this April and as late as this August, but none of that is a mandate at this point or a rule that clears any of those guys just yet. Now, like I said, a lot of people, like the majority of people, are operating like that's a given.
What is it like when you put up your big board maybe 5-10 years ago, and all right, these guys are going to be gone this year, these guys, and you can fill, and when you don't know all that, like what is that like navigating that as from roster perspective?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Is there is no planning ahead. It's August to August, so you just assemble a team for this August, and we'll be doing that till August 1st, then we'll go play. And I mean, it's a disaster right now, but the best part is once you get to August 1st, for the most part, the season's the season. And I think there will be some eligibility. Back to your question just a little bit, I think there will be some eligibility rules that change. I know what the coaches are in favor of, so hopefully that's just the way it goes. But there is no planning ahead years in advance. We used to have a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan for what we want the team to look like, and then you'd go recruit to that plan. And if somebody broke his leg and couldn't keep going, or a guy graduated early and went to med school or something, then you that's where you took your transfers. Now it changes every day, and you can't get discouraged by it. You can't get aggravated by it. You have to adjust to it, but that's why you see guys like Jim Larinaga at Miami. I mean, what was they? 15 games in the season, you just said, hell with it, I ain't doing this anymore. It is aggravating and frustrating not to be able to be structured. So I think, maybe people that are a little less detailed and organized maybe thrive in that situation.
Justin, how does it maybe overall impact high school kids in general, just getting recruited when there's so many guys in the portal and not even enough spots?
Well, I think you look at the good teams, they're recruiting high school kids, and the portal has had some effect on, I would say junior college is probably the highest number of people it affected. But as far as your base, you always have to have high school kids. The development of football starts there.
I will say this in response to that, though, because I deal with some high school coaches and some guys that are in leadership positions in their state organizations, whether it's here or in California or Texas or Arizona, and the high school coaches are very discouraged at the number of, or the lack of, high school players being recruited right now. They're pretty discouraged by it.
When it comes to some of the transfers, Kyle mentioned the Eastern kid, but you got Idaho, UC Davis. How much does it help to kind of see those guys when bringing in a transfer, kind of having that familiarity, and what do you see from those guys?
Go ahead, man.
You bet. They're again good football players, and again when you see them in the conference, and in some cases seen them for years, you've seen them develop as players and be successful against you, and now they have the opportunity to have them playing for you. That's a big deal. And again, these guys had to make the decision of leaving the school, and had other opportunities to go other places, and chose here. So, in some of these guys' cases, when we were recruiting them out of high school, or if anybody was recruiting them out of high school, they weren't the size and the development that they've had coming out of high school. So it's been nice to be able to see kind of guys that again have developed and have the opportunity.
Not to go down the whole list player by player, but Bailey, getting him, kid from Utah State? Like, what excites you about him?
Again, watch his tape. We don't, again, when you recruit these guys, you're recruiting talent. You're recruiting good football players. You're recruiting guys who fit what it is that we do, offensively, defensively, special teams wise. So, the value is that these guys are good football players, are going to be able to help us, and again, fit what we do.
And then Jake Jensen, just thoughts on what his skill set and what he brings to the table at quarterback.
We're going to find out.
Overall, the high school class, just how would you? Are there any characteristics overall that talk about the class broadly, or what excites you guys about who you're able to bring in as incoming freshmen?
O-line, O-line, D-line. I think for us, we always want to increase the size of our team, physical part of it. Our receivers, our expectation is for them to be physical, so that is definitely an aspect in every category there. Size, always a category that we're always trying to get. But yeah, we think all these guys can one day play for us.
Looking at that list of high school freshmen, of course, development process, are there any names that you think might play their way into the rotation next year that jump off the page to you?
We'll have to see. Again, you're asking 17 and 18-year-old young men to play with 22 and in some cases 25-year-olds. So we'll see.
It's been several years, and of course, you've mentioned it, things are constantly changing, but it's been several years under the current transfer regulations with the portal. Has your approach, your philosophy, your evaluation of those players evolved over those years? If you think back to maybe the first off season under the portal, has anything changed in your approach since then to recruiting those players?
A little bit, but our standard is our standard, and we're going to recruit to what we feel is, again, what our way of doing things. Guys that we think that are that fit what we do offensively and defensively. Guys that have good character. That's extremely important to us. Those things don't change whether it's a high school kid, a transfer, and then it's always his choice or their choice as far as the teammates that they're going to be around, the leadership that they're going to have a role in many cases, because these guys will be older. So we've got to have great young men with good character.
And then I think the list here, 5 Power 5 drop downs. What do you think it is about Montana that offers those guys an opportunity that they like when they're being recruited out of the portal? And what can you say about maybe some of those guys, the 2 USC transfers, the safety from BYU, wide receiver from Arizona State, any of those kids?
What's the 5th Power 5?
Tennessee, the tight end. 2
No,
USC.
you said Power 5. What's the 5th league?
I'm counting BYU, Arizona State.
No, the leagues. What are the Power 5 leagues?
SEC, Big 12, Big 10. Pac's gone. You're right. So
There's only 4. ACC, that's it.
ACC, yeah.
You're living in the past, dude.
Things are evolving quickly as we've learned.
Yes. Go ahead. Power 4.
Power 4, but all those players are from the Power 4, correct?
I think so. I can't
Yeah.
see this. This tape's made this so small. I don't
5
want to. I don't want to look like Chuck Schumer, like I'm reading everything with my reading glasses.
5 players, 4 conferences.
I would say our players.
I do
Those
agree
are
with
those are the best things we have at this university, is the guys on our team.
And I'd say a lot of guys come back west too. That's not 100%, but they're guys that have gone somewhere and then come back this direction. Now BYU's a different story. They're west, but
Justin, how do you navigate? Like, I know you get emails, and Twitter notifications, and all this stuff. Like, how do you navigate just like the huge net and all of the film you get, and just the challenge in that?
I've got a shark, Keaton, somewhere around
Keaton
here,
works
so,
hard. That's how it happens.
Yeah, so he does the bulk of a lot of that stuff. And you know, the fortunate thing for the Power 4 schools, they've got 10 of them.
Well, Sac State just hired 4 guys in
Yeah.
recruiting. We got
Yeah.
Keaton.
So Keaton works his tail off and helps a lot with that. So staying organized is important in that aspect. You know, how do we get a kid from Connecticut? Because we're thoroughly organized to be able to find what we need on signing day.
And I know a lot of these guys you've seen in person or had in camps at some point. Are there any that were just kind of randomly turned on to you guys, and then you dove into it and were like, oh wow, this kind of like a more of a surprising kid that you didn't know much about?
I mean, if you look at the high school guys and a number of the transfer guys were all in our camps.
Yeah,
I mean, most of them are in our camps.
or past relationships. You know, as far as the schools that high schools that we recruit, kids that we recruited before. Most of these guys are going to have some tie to that.
And like Cooper Buffington, we probably wouldn't have recruited him if he hadn't been in our camp. He was good in our camp. So, I mean, we like having hands-on time with guys if we can get it. It's not obviously the only thing, but how many of those guys didn't come to camp?
Yeah, as far as our high school guys, yeah.
One or two?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Including the transfers in that aspect. So,
Bobby, as you mentioned, obviously with like the numbers and kind of working with the roster limitations, like so as these months kind of go forward, Tabor sent out the winter and spring schedule. Like, do you envision a little bit more recruiting going forward, or do you I guess how has that gone in the past, or how do you expect maybe
Yeah,
covering
that
forward?
that would be. I mean, I know what's gone on in the past. That would require me have predicted the future a little bit. But yeah, I'd anticipate there's more. And then, that everybody on the roster is fighting for a roster spot right now. So we'll have great competition in the spring. Guys fight it out for places on the depth and spots on the roster.
Last one.
I guess are all of the transfers here for this semester to go through spring ball, or any of them coming later over the summer? And then do you guys have any high school early enrollees who are already here for this semester?
Go ahead.
no high school early enrollees, and only 2 from this transfer list are not here. Peck and who's the other one?
Peck and Peavy.
Peavy.
Peck's got to get a couple things wrapped up to finalize getting into medical school. He wants to be an orthopedic surgeon, I think. So he's got some academic stuff, or else he'd be here.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Good to see everybody. Power 5.